What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers signed 4 players to an Exhibit 10, basically just a training camp deal. I want to kind of go over each player individually. I'm going to do different videos for each one because we've seen 3 of them at least already play. But I want to start with the one that didn't play. And the guy that I think is probably most likely to end up signing. So basically all 4 guys are playing for a two-way spot. Right? Lakers have one open two-way spot. If the Lakers pull off a trade or something, maybe bring Koloko down after, right? Then maybe there'll be 2, but more likely than not, you're probably playing for just one two-way spot on this roster. Maybe a roster spot later on down the road if the Lakers need to kind of fill in that 15 spot. Yeah, bringing a guy in for like $100,000 or whatever, right? But I want to start with Eric Dixon. Now, Eric Dixon was the guy we didn't get to see, and I was very excited to see because he was one of the best college players in all of college basketball. He led the entire NCAA, not his division, not his conference, no, the entire all of college basketball in points per game, right? The guy was the best offensive player in all of college basketball. I mean, showed an array to be able to score from basically all sides. He is essentially a Julius Randle, right? Talked about it. There's a pro comparison that I made. You watch his game. It's very similar. He is a poor man's Julius Randle. He's 24. He's going to be 25 midway through the season next year, so he is older. But Lakers have had success with that. And he might have been the most NBA-ready prospect in the entire draft, right? At least offensively. He's a guy that can be I wouldn't even be shocked if he's a rotation player this season, right? Like he's a guy, like not starting level, not like your 6th man or anything, but him as like your 8th or 9th guy in the rotation as just scoring off the bench. I think he's a guy that could potentially provide that for you. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually has like a really good like stat line this season for the Lakers if he was to make it on the main roster, but chances are he's probably going to play on a 2-way, which means he'll play spots, on the main roster. But long-term approach, Eric Dixon's a guy that I really do think could be a real rotation piece. Imagine having like half of a Julius Randle off the bench. You know how good that would be for a team like the Lakers? So I really do like the idea of Eric Dixon. With his size, his wingspan, he's 255, 260. He can slot in, rebounds well, all of that. He's a guy that can slot in a small ball 5 unit, which the Lakers like, and can kind of run 5 wide. So he gives you just the flexibility and versatility as a 4 or a 5. Probably not a guy you want playing at the 3. Yeah, you kind of look at his size stuff. It's like, oh man, he can make a good 3, especially with the shooting ability. Maybe you can convert him into like that Rui type because Rui was a 4 that, converted to a 3. But realistically, I look at Eric Dixon as that 4-5 guy that can spread the floor, knock down the 3 ball, help you rebound, make some plays. Guy that you can just give the basketball and he can go to work. Right? He's a guy that could potentially help a Lakers bench who really struggles to score the basketball. Lakers had one of the worst scoring benches in all of basketball last year. And I think Eric Dixon is a guy that can eventually kind of be a step in the right direction. You look at him and like Jake LaRavia and guys like that. So Eric Dixon, I think, is probably the most likely candidate to end up on the 2-way spot or even a main roster spot. My favorite is Arthur Kaluma. That's who I want the most. But Eric Dixon is a guy that I think he'll stand out the most because he is the most ready, right? And he's a guy that I think Lakers will see and be like, man, we can do a lot with this guy, right? And if a guy gets the night off or something like that, boom, we can throw in an Eric Dixon and he might be able to fill in. Like if Rui misses some time or, you need some minutes in a backup power forward position or something like that, right? He's a guy that I think you could throw out there, give you and not miss a beat and kind of help you on the offensive side of things. I wouldn't be surprised if, he has a 20, 30 point game, randomly in one of these NBA games, right? He's not a guy that I'm expecting to average that or anything, but I'm saying like he's a guy that I think, you throw him out there, one of these games, a couple guys got the night off. I wouldn't be shocked if he goes and gives you 25 or 30 on like great efficiency. He's a good scorer. Guy's very good at scoring the basketball. Played in the 35 games he played, he averaged 23.3 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. Right? So his last season with Villanova, played 35 minutes per game, 17.1 field goal attempts per game, shot 45.1% from the field. On 7.2 attempts, he was 41%. He was 40.7% from three-point range. On 7.2 attempts, one that's in college, Very rarely do guys take 7 threes in college, but he averaged 7.2, and that's volume, right? Like usually you look at the guys coming out of college into the pros that shoot in the 40s, and you look at like how many threes they took a game, and it's like 1.5, or it's like 3, and that's a lot. Talk about a guy that shot 7.2 threes per game. That's a volume. I don't care what level you're playing in, right? 7.2 threes, that's volume if you're knocking that down at that consistency and at that rate. So 41% from three-point range, 2-point range, right? 9.8 attempts, just under 10 attempts, 48.3%, which was the worst of his college tenure. The previous worst before that was 50% on the dot. So something about that. But that was also the most volume that he took. So it's just something to keep in mind, which was also the most volume he took from 3. So it's really good. He actually had a season where he shot almost 49% from 3-point range, but it was on 1 attempt. So again, like he's a guy that's a career 38.7% 3-point shooter on 3.5 attempts in college. Again, these are all college stats, but it kind of gives you an idea of like what he could potentially translate to in an NBA. EFG of 53.7%. Free throw percentage. He is a career 81.3% on 4 attempts. He took 6.1 attempts last year and shot at 81.3%. So a good free throw shooter. Just again, he's a good shooter, good bucket getter, move off ball, be a catch and shoot guy. He's a guy that can make an impact. Now, rebounds, 5.1 rebounds, including 1.5 offensive rebounds. You look at the last, like that was the lowest since his freshman season. He averaged 3.3, 2.4, and then 2.1 through the previous 4 years, or that 3-year window. And then rebounds period 6.4, 6.6, 6.5, and then 5.1. So a guy that can rebound the basketball as well, which I think is very beneficial. Again, averaged 2 assists, a steal, half a block, and 23.3 points per game. So my guess, it's unfortunate, again, we didn't get to see him in Summer League, because I do think he's a guy that really would have stood out, and it would have been nice to kind of gauge and see. He was a guy that he was hurt. We didn't find out he was hurt until somebody stumbled across him and then reported it, and then it was like, uh-oh. So, and we still don't know what it was and how significant it was, but I imagine it's not that significant if they're bringing him in on Exhibit 10. I mean, this was a guy that was looked and projected to be drafted by the Lakers and as high as like, a beginning of, early first or second round pick, right? Why did he fall so much if he's so good and all that stuff? Because it's always the thing that I get, Tyler, if he's so good, why did he drop? Because he's going to be 25 years old, right? Like he's a year from his prime in the NBA. That's why, right? And teams, they want the bad teams, they want the youth, upside, growth. The good teams, they want the same thing because they usually already have guys, right? So he's a guy that's being brought in. Right? By the time he's actually ready to be potentially on the main roster, he'll probably already be in what would be his prime. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you don't like this video, hit that like button. Helps me out, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.